For some time now, concerns have been rising about China and its technological advancements. Companies such as Huawei, Alibaba, and Tencent have captured the global market, setting new standards in artificial intelligence, telecommunications, e-commerce, and more. However, this rise has sparked debates on its impact on the West. The question arises, do Chinese technological advancements represent a threat to the West? Two camps have emerged. Those who think that they do and call for caution, and those who think that they do not and remain optimistic about the issue. In 2023, a study by the Australian Strategic Institute highlighted that China has become the world leader in 37 technological fields. The list includes electric batteries, 5G, and synthetic biology. It was emphasized that Western economies could soon be overtaken by China and that China could pose a direct threat to American and European economic well-being, in addition to threatening the world order. The United States is particularly concerned, as it has long been the most important and influential economy in the world, as well as a leader in technological innovation. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer even stated in 2021 that the days of the America as a dominant global superpower may be numbered. These fears have led the American policymakers to try to boost the national tech industry and restrict economic ties with China. In recent decades, the United States and Europe, along with several Asian countries like Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea, have wielded considerable influence over technological innovation. Meanwhile, China's rapid rise in the global economy followed the massive increase in its GDP and technological advancements. Moreover, in 2015, the country introduced the Made in China 2025 plan, aimed at increasing the development and trade of high-tech goods in China. These goods are those that enhance productivity and will become essential for the future growth of the economy. The goal is to lead innovation in these areas and dominate part of the supply chain, as it has already done with lithium, for example. The problem is that if this happens, many countries would find themselves in a situation of economic dependency. But 9 years after the launch of this plan, where does China stand? Well, the country has become the world's largest exporter of high-tech products targeted by its plan. Thus, it holds the top spot in sectors such as intermediate IT products, new energies, and advanced railways. However, the United States remains the leader in the development of key emerging technologies and intellectual leadership, particularly in the field of artificial intelligence. Additionally, the gross value added by major tech companies headquartered in the United States far exceeds that of China. The research and development expenditures of these same American companies are also more than 5 times higher. However, these figures should not be taken at face value, because as you may know, official data from the National Bureau of Statistics often highlights the country's economic and technological rise. But they can often be misleading. In fact, various reports suggest that China is not entirely transparent. For example, in 2011, comments made by Premier Li Keqiang in 2007 were leaked, in which he admitted that official data for Liaoning province was produced solely for reference. Thus, according to several studies, the size of China's economy tends to be inflated. For example, a comparison was made between Fathom's China Momentum Indicator and official Chinese statistics, and the difference is clear. There is a real discrepancy between the two. Another example is when examining China's tech sector. It is true that the country has several very important tech companies and a large number of patent filings in emerging technologies. One might think that China is already ahead, but they do not reflect the entire situation. Indeed, compared to the United States, even though both countries issue a similar number of patents, those issued by American companies tend to be of higher quality. It's also worth noting that the majority of Chinese students wishing to pursue courses in the field of artificial intelligence at the doctoral level choose to do so in the United States rather than in China. Moreover, the vast majority of them take up employment in the United States. In response to this phenomenon, the Chinese government has implemented a program called 1,000 Talents aimed at bringing researchers back to the country. But what are China's weaknesses in the technology sector? To counter those who say that Chinese technological advancements threaten the West, some experts argue that one should not be too optimistic because China's growth has essentially been catch-up growth. Without more freedom and openness, China will not be able to fully become an innovation economy and thus a technological leader. It's important to understand that a state that does not impose the same rules as others cannot be a loyal economic partner. This is certainly the case for relations between China and the United States. The Asian nation is often accused of stealing technological secrets from the United States. For example, in 2023, a former General Electric power employee was convicted of stealing confidential files concerning the design and manufacturing of gas and steam turbines and sending them to an accomplice in China. Additionally, more than half of Chinese espionage acts to steal tech data from the United States allegedly target Silicon Valley. Furthermore, Western artificial intelligence is one of the technologies China is interested in. To counter this, in June 2021, the United States implemented a massive investment plan to counter China in the field of new technologies. The goal is to invest in scientific and technological research and development. Thus, $250 billion in investments are planned, of which more than $170 billion will be allocated to research and development, notably to encourage companies to manufacture chips and semiconductors. The development of 5G and space exploration are also part of this ambitious plan. This makes market penetration very difficult for China, especially since China, despite its policy of openness, has a protectionist approach. This results in more complex administrative procedures and more restricted funding for joint projects between Chinese and American researchers, even going so far as to prohibit the continuation of certain projects. Thus, according to the French business magazine Challenges, China's scientific catch-up remains quite partial if one focuses on publications in the top 5% of the best scientific journals in each field. It is even weaker when excluding publications co-written with American authors. This highlights that Chinese researchers need to collaborate more with American researchers than vice versa. China remains too dependent to be a real threat. One last point is that the country is facing a dramatic decline in its population. The United States predicts that China's working-age population will decrease by 60% before the end of the century. However, it's thanks to its workforce that the country's economic growth has been facilitated in recent decades. Both available and cheap, it was moved from rural to urban areas, thereby facilitating China's transformation into a manufacturing powerhouse. In the coming decades, China is likely to lose much of its production capacity unless it finds a replacement solution. In conclusion, the impact of Chinese technological advancements on the West is a topic of debate that cannot be reduced to a simple answer. But it seems that the situation has been a bit exaggerated compared to what it really is. Even though China has experienced more pronounced technological development than expected, the country has not yet reached the stage where it can fully play the role of a technological leader. Indeed, it remains too dependent, particularly on the United States. If it wishes to reverse things, it should open up more. Yet at present, it is doing the opposite.